Through Jane's character in her novel Jane Eyre, Charlotte Bronte comments on the importance of rejecting the societal expectations placed upon women and the misconstrued narratives spun about them by those in power during the Victorian era. In many ways, Jane is a reflection of Bronte. Through her life experiences, class, and ideology, her actions and decisions speak for all that Bronte believed in. Her entire life, Jane had never conformed to the mold assigned to her by power holders such as Mrs. Reeds, Mr. Brocklehurst, and even Mr. Rochester at times. This caused the authority she had to answer to over her in Gateshead and Lowood to be punishing and harsh in order to transform her into their ideal version of a young woman in society. Through this cognition, Jane grows up to immensely value her independence. Bronte highlights this trait in Jane throughout the entirety of the novel, and while it is generally viewed as undesirable by many of the characters who are reflective of the chains that bound Victorian women, this desire of self-sufficiency ultimately allows Jane to build a better life for herself that isn't dictated by others. Furthermore, Jane strives to put her own well-being before serving those around her, which Bronte uses to encourage agency and breaking free of the net that ensnared women solely for the fact that it was their designated role in society to be oppressed. Jane and Bronte's society was structured to put them into positions of inferiority, and by being their own authority as well as ideologically and eventually financially independent of the men around them, they changed and challenged the patriarchy built to suppress them. While this movement and fight for change is centuries old, Bronte's idea of independence and self-authority is echoed in today's events of powerful women exercising their own agency as well. Kept in the dark about her own art, Taylor Swift was deceived into losing her masters in 2019. Without ever being given a chance to own her music, her entire catalog was purchased by a third party without her knowledge. Instead of accepting her unjust faith, Swift chose to strike back by re-recording her entire discography. This allowed her to reclaim her authority over her masters by being able to regulate when and how they're being used by others. Swift showcases her value for independence from those who attempted to profit off of her livelihood, above all by taking the massive risk of re-recording her music, which is still very popular worldwide. This reverberates Bronte's message of the significance of a woman to fight against all that is laid out to sabotage her in order to achieve both autarky and social liberty.